Welcome people, welcome to JP Boxing. I've got another fight preview and prediction for all you boxing fans out there today. Yesterday you would have seen that I dropped my prediction for Terence Crawford versus Ruiz-Miller. An absolutely brilliant fight. If you want to go check out that prediction video, yeah, it's a brilliant fight, but it's also headlining a brilliant card. The undercard is absolutely stacked, man. I'm going to be giving you content and predictions for all the fights on the card throughout this week, so stay tuned and subscribe if you want to see that. But today we're talking about the two heavyweight fights on the card, because man, we have got two real exciting, I'm going to say near 50-50, at least very close competitive, highly talked about, just real intriguing matchups, man. Fights with a lot of question marks over them too. And from the studying I've been doing and checking other people's predictions and analysis and that for this, these fights are really splitting people down the middle and getting people talking and debating. So yeah, it's time to join the party, give you my predictions for this. And then as always, you can come back and let me know your predictions in the comment section afterwards, because I think a lot of people are going to be disagreeing on this one. So yeah, the two fights are, let me get started and tell you the fights first, just in case you don't know. Andy Ruiz versus Ruiz-Miller, and Martin Bakole versus Jared Anderson. Two absolutely brilliant fights, as I said. I'm going to start off with Andy Ruiz versus Ruiz-Miller, because in a lot of people's eyes, that would be the bigger one. Obviously, Andy Ruiz, a massive name in America, been heavyweight champion of the world, been around for years now. Ruiz-Miller, a big name in America, more of a villain probably. I'm not really sure how he's seen by the fans in America. Obviously by British fans and other fans worldwide, he's a bit of a villain because of the drug testing and the PEDs and stuff like that happened before the Anthony Joshua fight years back now. I think that was about 2018. But he's on the re-emergence scene. He's trying to get redemption. He's trying to bounce back. And to be fair to him, he's taking the big, tough fights. And this is as big and as tough as it's got for him throughout his whole career. I'll just jump in and give you the stats quickly. But I will say straight up with this one, stats, previous things on paper, they're not the most important thing I'm looking at here. I'll give you them quick and then I'll tell you the real thing, the real talking points going into this fight, the things we've really got to look at. So Andy Ruiz, 135, lost 2, knocked out 22, 34 years old. Obviously, as I said, he's a former heavyweight champion of the world. We all know his win over Anthony Joshua, one of the biggest. In hindsight, it's not a massive upset, but at the time, it was obviously one of the most shocking wins of all time. The shock factor of that night when everyone was watching it, this short little fat guy coming out of nowhere and battering the absolute Adonis, the seemingly unbeatable Anthony Joshua at the time, it definitely is. Now in hindsight, people don't call it a massive upset, but as I just said, definitely one of the most shocking wins of all time. That is obviously and probably will always be the biggest moment of Andy Ruiz's career. Other than that, he's got wins over the likes of Luis Ortiz and Chris Arreola on his comeback. His losses are a close one to Joseph Parker, and obviously then Anthony Joshua in the rematch when he was really, really out of shape. Andy Ruiz always aesthetically looks out of shape anyway, but obviously he came in way overweight for the Joshua rematch. Height-wise, 6'2", 74-inch reach, compared to Ruiz-Miller, 6'4", 78-inch reach, bit of a size advantage. We know Ruiz-Miller, absolutely massive unit himself. 126, lost 1, drawn 1, also knocked out 22. He's 36 years old, so a couple years older. His one loss came to Daniel Dubois, obviously in his last fight on another Saudi Arabian card, Riyadh season card. His wins, Thomas Adamet, Gerald Washington, Marius Watch. So not if you got the Joshua win for Ruiz, but then other than that, they're not too dissimilar, the levels they've been fighting and winning at, really. So yeah, there's the stats. But the question marks coming into this one, as I said, I'll tell you the main talking points. The main thing we've got to look at when analysing this one is what shape are they coming in and what sort of level of motivation are they coming in with, what sort of training camp have they had, and obviously Andy Ruiz, the time out he's had, how is that going to affect him? These two guys, you can't judge them on paper when predicting a fight. You've got to try and look at how they're looking in training, the way they're talking about the fight, the shape they're in, because these two guys are two of the most untrustworthy heavyweights two of the most untrustworthy fighters at any weight coming into a fight as to whether they're actually going to turn up in shape or not. Andy Ruiz turned up out of shape, so many fights. He's only had 2 fights in the last 5 years. Like, that is seriously worrying. Coming into this, he's going to be out the ring for 2 years or 23 months, or pretty much 2 years by the time this fight comes around on Saturday night. So we just don't know how he's going to look when he gets in the ring under the bright lights. I've seen some training footage of him. He's still looking very sharp and explosive on the pads, but looking good on pad. Well, I know some people that have never boxed before that look really good on the pads. You put them in a fight and then they just fall apart. Now, Andy Ruiz obviously is not like that. He's a very experienced fighter, but anyone, Mike Tyson said it before, he looked good on the pads for like 30 seconds and then he was blowing out his arse, obviously, in that pad video where he looked really good a few years back. So you can't judge just because he looks good on the pads. But from what I have seen of his training footage, he does look sharp, quite sharp still, as sharp as he did in his prime. But as I said, it's different once you get in the ring. Jarrell Miller, obviously, he had the 4 years out from 2018 to 2022 because he was banned. But to be fair to him, since then, he's fought quite a few times over the last 2 years, has been active and has been chasing the big fights. As I said, sorry, I'm sort of saying stuck in my throat there. Apologies for that. But yeah, as I said, last time out against Daniel Dubois, again, although he'd been active, he turned up massively overweight. I think he was at 333 pounds. Now, Jarrell Miller's always been a big, heavy guy. He always comes in around like 280 to 300. But since his comeback, he's been way over 300 every time. But then saying that, here comes the question mark again. I've seen a picture of him. I think he's been training in Jaron Ennis's gym now, working out with him. Obviously, what a gym and what a guy to be training with. And he looks in really good shape. From the picture I've seen him, the picture I saw of him, looks as good shape as I've ever seen him, even before he had the 4 years out. So it looks like he also is taking this fight very seriously. And that's probably because both of these guys know this is a massive opportunity and a massive fight for them. As I said, they're both big names in America. The American fans are all going to be tuning in for this massive card. And they're both way towards the end of their career now. They know this one probably is make or break for them. So I expect both of them to come in the best shape they possibly can for this one. But at the age of 34 for Ruiz, with 2 years out, 2 fights in 5 years, and then 36-year-old for Miller, still struggling clearly after juicing earlier in his career, coming off of it. That affects you physically. It slows you down, makes you feel a lot weaker. He hasn't been in the best form, even though he's been active. I don't think it's going to be a prime Andy Ruiz or a prime Jarrell Miller. I think both of their primes are long gone, but they both will turn up in good shape and they will give us a good fight here, I believe. How do I see the fight going? I think Jarrell Miller, if you look at recent fights, still throws more punches than Andy Ruiz. And if he does come in really good shape, the best shape he can, he will be busy. But I think the difference in with this one is Andy Ruiz is the much slicker, much better, much quicker boxer. Still looks super sharp with his hands. Still got good feet. Still got good head movement. Has looked more chinny though in his a couple of recent fights. Luis Ortiz stunned him a few times. Chris Arreola actually dropped him. Now Jarrell Miller probably right now is about the same level as an old Luis Ortiz. About the same level as a Chris Arreola, maybe slightly better. So it's not out of the realm, shall we say, that Andy Ruiz could get dropped in this one. But I think Miller will come with the pressure early on, but I think you'll see him get picked off by Andy Ruiz. I think you'll see Andy Ruiz stun him quite a few times throughout the fight. I don't think we'll see either fighter go down in this one, but I think there will be a lot of bombs landed to the head and to the body. I'm going to go Andy Ruiz, a close, competitive, but also clear points win. As I said, his boxing skills just being the difference, his hand speed being the difference. He's a very smart fighter. He's very good with his selection of shots that he throws. He mixes up the shots he throws. He goes to the body and the head well. Jarrell Miller's just more basic, just come out and throw a lot of punches, just like swing them out there, doesn't really think about it too much. So I'm going to go with the smart boxing skills of Andy Ruiz in this one. As I said, close but clear, points win after a very competitive fight, but that's only like a 60-40. I'm just leaning towards Andy Ruiz. I do think Jarrell Miller has a big chance of winning this fight, especially if the ring rust gets to Ruiz, Father Time starts catching up with him. carrying all that extra weight over the years, it's going to slow your knee, mess up your knees, slow your legs down after a while. So I do make Jarrell Miller a very live underdog in this one. I can understand why a lot of people are picking him to win this one. But I'm going to stick with Andy Ruiz still. Unanimous decision, but a close, very good, exciting fight. Do not miss this one, people. Could be the fight of the night. Right, on to the next one. My actual favourite fight of the night. I'm looking forward to this one actually more than I'm looking forward to Crawford-Madrimov, Ruiz-Miller and all the other decent fights or good fights, very good fights on the undercard. This is the one I'm looking forward to most. Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole. I've said for years now, Martin Bakole is the dark horse of the heavyweight division. I really rate this guy. I think he's a dangerous fighter for anybody out there. And Jared Anderson is probably the most highly rated prospect in heavyweight boxing right now. 17-0, 15 KOs, only 24 years old. He's looked really good inside the ring, but there are question marks over him mentally. I've said this for a while now. He's a guy that said he doesn't really enjoy boxing. He's only doing it for the money. We've all seen that video of when he was crying with Roy Jones, saying that he doesn't really like the pressure of the sport. Like, he can't really handle the pressure on him. Now, some people will be like, oh, he's just being honest, open about his feelings. But you can't let shit get you like that in boxing, especially at the young age when you should be enjoying it the most. It's a ruthless fucking sport, man. And I'll tell you who one of the most ruthless fighters is in the sport right now. It's Martin Bakole. If your mind ain't in this, if your heart ain't really in it, Martin Bakole will take you to some dark places you really do not want to go, and you will be really, really uncomfortable in. And we're going to find out here how much Jared Anderson really wants it on Saturday night. Will he sink or will he swim? Because trust me, Martin Bakole is going to take him to deep waters and he's going to swarm all over him. I gave you Jared Anderson's record, 17-0, 15 KOs. Martin Bakole, 120, lost 1, 15 KOs also. His one loss came in 2018 to Michael Hunter in a very close competitive fight. He actually injured his shoulder in, I think it was like round 8 or 9, couldn't really throw it, and then Michael Hunter just swarmed him and completely outworked him and actually stopped him in the last round. But since then, I think that was a blessing in disguise for Martin Bakole, because he seems to have really sorted himself out and just come back much, much better since then. Seems to be a much smarter, more controlled fighter. Still very aggressive, still very busy. Still walks people down, but a lot more controlled and smarter with it. He actually piled on a lot of weight since then too. Now you think, oh, some fighters like Miller and Ruiz, when they sort themselves out, they lose weight. Martin Bakole's actually put on weight, and it seems to really have helped him, and he's become a much more stronger, harder fighter for people to keep off, and him having that extra weight seems to make him a much tougher fighter for all of these guys. In his last fight, he weighed 299 pounds. Jared Anderson in his last fight weighed 251 pounds. That's a 48 pound difference. What's that in stone? I'm not the best with maths, but that's got to be about 3.5 stone, I think. So obviously, if it comes in similar to that, I reckon Anderson might put on a few pounds. Bakole might become in a bit lighter, but there's still going to be a good 2.5, 3 stone at least weight difference between these guys. And if Jared Anderson ain't on the top of his game, ain't slick and moving as much as he can, he could really, really struggle here. Jared Anderson's tactics are simple. Get in there, box and move. Do not try and go to war with this guy. You and your training team should definitely know that. Martin Bakole's tactics, he's got to get in there, walk Jared Anderson down, test the heart, test the chin, test the resilience of the young man, test the endurance going down the stretch. And I think Martin Bakole's tactics are the ones that are going to come off here. I think Jared Anderson's going to have a good few rounds, boxing early. Do you know what? I haven't actually checked if this one is a 10 or 12 rounder, you know. Should have checked that, because that could be really interesting going down the stretch. Ruiz versus Miller is a 10 rounder from what I've seen, by the way. But yeah, shit, I should have checked that out. Apologies, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to go and check that straight afterwards. But either way, whether it's 10 or 12, I do think Martin Bakole will get him out there in the later rounds. As I said, Jared Anderson will have a few good rounds, boxing and moving early. But I think Bakole will just walk through what he's got. Might be buzzed once or twice, but he just seems a lot tougher than he used to be now. Maybe it's that extra weight. Maybe he's hungrier. He wants it more. He's toughened up over the years. sometimes when you have more heart or desire, you're more willing to walk through the bigger punches, and that is what Bakole will do. I don't know if Jared Anderson will do that once Bakole starts landing big. I think Bakole will go to the body in the mid rounds, and I think he'll just swarm and really beat Anderson up. And Anderson will try and hang in there for a bit, but I'm going to say around 7 or 8, Martin Bakole gets him out of there with just a big swarm of punches and stops Jared Anderson on his feet, who's kind of looking like a deer in the headlights at that sort of time, and the ref jumps in. But again, it's that type of fight. I'm probably more like 70-30 in Bakole's favour for this one. I'm more confident that he wins than Ruiz, and a lot of people will be surprised at that, because I'm sure Bakole's going into this one as the underdog with the fans and the bookies. But man, go watch him. Go watch his highlights in his last few fights. He's turned into an absolute monster, man. His trainer, Billy Nelson, raves about him all the time and says he could be the best heavyweight in the world. I do believe at his best he's right up there, and he's a top 5 to 10 heavyweight. I think Jared Anderson's probably just outside of that at the minute, and as I said, his heart, his desire, his mentality for the game, I don't really rate it. I'm a bit wary about it at the minute, and I think he gets found out here. So yeah, that's my 2 predictions. Andy Ruiz, close but clear points win after a really good, exciting, competitive fight. Martin Bakole to stop Jared Anderson late. If that one does go the distance, I think Anderson would have done well early, but I think Bakole might drop him once or twice. If it goes points, I still think Bakole gets the win, but I think he gets him out of there around 7 or 8. As I said, over to you guys now. Let me know your picks for these 2 really exciting fights. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be disagreeing in this one, so jump in the comment section and let me know. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe, because I'm going to be talking about this show a lot this week and all the big fights and all the big news coming up in the boxing world. Thank you.